mental health of an entrepreneur ozamayo. How important is it to take time and work on yourself ngoba kade esho usithandeka out of business as umuntu wesifazane?
I'm very happy that of late mental health is getting more of the recognition that it deserves. Ultimately, you can't do any of this stuff if your mental health is not intact, if your health generally is not intact. And I think because of the biases that exist, because of the difficulty that exists as entrepreneurs, as women, you have to work so much harder. You have to dedicate so much of your energy that it is vital for us to remember and to keep reminding each other that we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of our physical health, but we also have to take care of our mental health. Because if you don't, you cannot do this stuff. It doesn't help to neglect your mental health, because we've seen very radical and very heartbreaking examples of where, when the mental health breaks down, like how bad those consequences can be. And we can't do this. No one can be on an entrepreneurial journey if their mental health is not intact. So it's absolutely vital to make sure that you're finding time to sleep properly, that you're finding time to connect with other human beings, that you're finding time to exercise, to eat healthy, and to feed your mind with positive things, with things that fill you, since this is a job of sort of giving so much of yourself to so many people. It is vitally important. I can't stress it, underline it, highlight it enough, and I'm really glad that you brought it up as part of this discussion.
Lastly, before I let you go, how do you, or what advice do you have to who needs to push themselves and maybe have the realization of what I'm at a point where things aren't working now. I'm at a point where business is better than last year. How do I keep the consistent, I'll say faith, because that's what it is to me? Or how do I keep the consistent putting in the work? For example, okay, I'm at working. How and push to do better?
Yeah, I think it must be about the belief that you have in yourself and in what you're doing. I think you should engage in places and in spaces where you have a deep conviction about what it is that you're doing. Because it's not always easy. There's times that are better than others, and you need to know why you're in it. And I think that's what gives you the sort of staying power that you need to be successful. And have also say, with this journey of, it's not every idea and it's not every business that will or needs to succeed. Destigmatize a little bit this idea around failure, because sometimes, this project or this idea can only go so far, and letting it go and putting it down and starting back up again with something else is not necessarily a failure if you're going to take the learnings that you had there and do something better. Entrepreneurship by its very nature is high risk and high reward. There are no sureties, there are no guarantees, and sometimes you bet on the wrong horse. Sometimes this can only go so far. Sometimes you need to just let this go. And I think we need to not have any shame. The whole business of entrepreneurship is being able to then again come and make something out of nothing and push again up until its logical conclusion. But not every business is meant to go to in dollars and be listed and whatever. And that can't be the judge of success for every business. You have to have a robustness of spirit, and you have to have the ability to say, okay, this is as far as this one goes, let me put it down. But then there's also just hard days. It's not going to be easy. And just because it's hard, it doesn't mean that it's time to let it go. So that discernment and that conviction also comes in knowing how to judge correctly and make the correct decisions in that regard.
Thank you so much for your closing remarks. Thank you so much for joining us as well. Just please give a huge round of applause.
I'm so sorry that I have to go. I love this platform and would have loved to stay for much longer. But
thank you so much.
And thank you to all the panelists, and I hope you have a great discussion further.
Thank you so much. As a very well-traveled person, let's take it back to culture. ukuthi mawubuka i-culture yabantu besifazane in other countries and provinces and continents, and then uyibuyise la South Africa, how much impact does culture have in ukusicindezela mhlambe, or even our own, the way we perceive ourselves, but just as a cultural nation, very diverse in culture, how much does that impact our everyday, just working as owners?
Yeah, thank you for that question. When we talk about culture, I'm going to tell you my story. You asked about mental health, and that's very important. For a longest time, nganginga succeed, and the reason for that is ngangikhulele endaweni la abantu abangasucceed khona. When you are in a place where people are not successful, uthola ama behaviors that are not for success. For example, ngakhulelwa ngina 17. Every time you have a child, you become poorer. No one told me ukuthi ingane iyakwenza ukuthi ube hlwempu. It's something that we don't talk about as women. We don't tell them, "Oh, phephisa sithandwa sami." It means njengamanje usubambezelekile nje. We pretend and then we say, "Oh, congratulations," as if it's something that's going to elevate us. It was congratulations where there was no success. I don't know, you guys are from Durban. Durban, at least you could go to Mhlanga and see success. I'm from a show. There was no dreaming. So my behaviors that I had when I was growing up, they did not help me become successful faster. If I had grown up in a place where people were speaking the truth, instead of telling me izinto, I would have been highly successful very early. And when you talk about mental health, it's not even about taking time for yourself. Hayibo guys, ungajoli nomfana ongezukukusiza ukuthi uphumelele. Because now, your mental health, instead of you thinking of a business idea, uthi engabe uthami njengoba engayibambi le phone. Do you understand? Because so umgowo. So guys, mina ngagowa. So the energy that I spend ngigowa engoye, instead of me using that. So even when I compare countries, if I meet a 20-year-old was a South African, and I meet a 20-year-old was in New York, bagowa ngezinto engafani. Owase New York ugowa ngokuthi, no, so I designed this products, and then I'm trying to get into the market and people are not buying my products because they don't know my products. Mangabe ngihlezi nengane zangalana, zibu, so sometimes nje amadoda umjolo nje. So I didn't understand ukuthi actually energy, what is energy? So and I want to use that definition. When you look at where they are using their money, when you look at where they are using their time, when you look at where they are using their energy, akufani. So if you are looking for success, even if you want to balance, where you are spending your money, you must look at where you are spending your time, and you must look at where energy yakho is going. Because lomgowo, lesi stress, lesi sithi phuma kini ngo-7 ngoba ublutikile. Guys, mina ngaye ngajump igates, ukuthi nje isikhathi asikho, ngaye ngajump igates because ngiyayibona imoto yakhe. Yayibona uyibona imoto yakhe? Anginawo njalo mina imoto. Anginayo imoto guys, anginayo imoto. I can see his car, I don't have a car. Imoto yakhe ipakile la rent. But igate likhiyiwe yabo. And then imina lana umakoya, I'm the one, right? So ngihamba nomngane amathi, no, let's jump this thing. Hayi sayijumpa safika kitchen go. Shuthu siswayitsheliwe ukuthi yabo usisi wakho uyavutsa bhe wathi hayibo mina bengilana wayenza isibindi ngathi nje phaka isibindi ngasedla ngasibindi leso. But that is like a wasted energy. If ngingathathi energy yami manje, if that time I had spent looking at building the solution, building my business, I would be further. That is why you meet 29-year-olds in New York and they are multimillionaires. Abakaze baljombi igate olundi kwa D. All right? So that is the one thing that I think as women is the major differences between culture. So decide today, Sisi, do you want the culture of success? If you want the culture of success, then you need to look at those three things. Or do you want the culture of being normal? Because in order for me to be who I am, I needed to become abnormal. Angikho mina normal, angifithi la ngazalelwa khona. Mangifikile kuthiwa ena mangingena esontweni ngihlale ngichaza ngisho ngangena late kuthiwa sicela ukubingelela ngokukhethekileyo esangena emnyango uziba. So that's the biggest difference.
Do we, Jacinta, we spoke about humbleness. Iyona lento Zibu is tapping on. The humbleness of ukuthi asifuni ukudreama too much. Because who am I? I'm from Ntombazane yaseMthwalume. I can't dream ukuthi one day I'll be hosting something, zobekhona Oprahs, zobekhona Ellen, zobekhona. I can't dream that far. What are some of izinto that we have to unlearn?
Zibu probably doesn't tell you guys this, but her and I argue a lot because our approach to things is a lot different. And I think that's why we're here today, because personally, I feel like what she's saying will apply to Zibu. As me, I don't want to pressure myself like that. And I don't want to, I'm inspired by Zibu leaps and bounds. But I know that under pressure, I don't do well. So I want some of you guys to just know one lesson. Understand yourself. Know yourself. That's the most important thing. Because I, for one, do not believe in motivation. I'm sure you don't. Because I think something has to start from inside of you. The fact that you're here means that there's something that you want, right? The fact that you're here means there's something that you craved so much that you said, I don't care what I'm doing, but I want to be there. That means that you take yourself seriously, first of all. Because I feel like in a room like this, there's possibly a lot of like-mindedness. Because abantu who probably won't be here, abanye it's not because of abathandi, abanye it's because mongambuza nje ngathi ngiyabona nje ngihambe nje ekhaya ngizohlala nje ngilalela abantu bekhuluma
Ifeni
uzalo liyadlala ngo2 manje nje irepeat yakhona ngimbona kahle sibu so fanele nje ngikwazi ukuthi ngihlale ngiyenanda nowenza you know. But the fact that you're here means it's a big deal. So talking about mental health, I'm trying to incorporate a lot of these things together. Mental health starts with a lot of pressures that we add to ourselves for no apparent reason. So every now and then, take a step, pat yourself in the back, say, I've done well. Take another step, pat yourself in the back, I've done well. Because you're not going to be Zibu overnight. That's not going to happen. If you came here because you thought, ngizolalela uZibu bese kuseni nje nami ngizobe millionaire, ngeke. Nje we can all just rest. Ngeke kuze kwenzeke. We all are building. Ubone umuzima wakha, ukubone one day kade ngekho lutho. Next minute, sekhona building engaka la. But some people don't notice what goes on by Safagi Foundation. It's exactly what happens with life. So take yourself seriously, but take it one day at a time. So don't rush yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Take the lessons of what we all have to say, but use them in understanding yourself. Because what Zibu says is very important. Very, very important. Because if you're in a culture, engakhulisani, ngeke uzukwazi. But uyazazi wena ngisuthi Jacinta, okay, let me give myself isikhathi, let me give myself a month to apply lento eshiwo uZibu. Because if you try and wake up in the morning and do it, guarantee you're not going to do it. Because I was understanding vele wena uvuka ekseni nalo akumotivate, uvuka kusasa nalo omunye ashinto contradict into adishiwe omunye, nakusasa kufika omunye futhi akutshela enye motivation usuyashintsha futhi product yakho kade iya ethasayika Shoprite usuyayenze, you're going to be very confused. So the most important thing in anything that you do is to understand yourself. Understand what you do. Come, Nkosi yabo failure ngihlale ngisho lento ukuthi you know abantu mase bekubona usuhleli kanje. So like lezinto ish ngathi nje nice life. You know? Kanti personally mina when I talk about radio for example ngingangeni with my business because I do events and entertainment and publicity. You know what I mean? I'm really frustrated, but when it happens people won't know that. And if it doesn't happen, people won't know that either. So mase nibona lokho okuncane okuphumelelayo, you think zimhambela kahle izinto, but you don't know how many times I've been let down, how many times they've been rejected and told me no, that's not going to happen. How many dreams of mine have been demolished? Get back up and you keep moving.
Sure. I don't know about you, but I am inspired. I mean, I want to just shut up and just let them talk the whole time. Sis Thandeka, in this building, we have people who've been doing this for 2 years. We have people who've been doing this for 16 years, 20 years. We have a person who's still thinking, mhlambe, to start a new product, to start something new. We were talking about how important money is and profitability. And you were saying, like, I'm going to quote Sis Thandeka. She said, if the money doesn't make sense, I'm not there. That's what she said to me and when we were sitting out there. So how important is it to get into something and mhlambe kunezinto esingazazi kufanele senze ukuthi okay, i-market research yami, how profitable is this going to be? Who is the person who's going to buy the product? Where am I going to sell the product? Izinto ezikanjalo. What are some of the that are really important if you are a businesswoman?
You know, the first lesson I've ever learned from my late dad, it's that you must be prudent with your business finances. Be very prudent with your business finances. You, me, Uthandeka, and my business are two separate entities. My business is a whole life on its own. Uthandeka, ufuna ukuyothenga, ashophe, ayenze whatever, it has nothing to do with my business. So you draw a salary out of your business every month. And you draw a salary that you feel, Wuti, you are worth that salary. If you did not work, you are an employee of your company. Do not think, good time, the boss have arrived, I can do as I please. Have those, when you get those basics right, know that, you know what, I'm gonna get paid based on performance. Which boss is gonna pay you if you didn't perform well? So you must always get that in your head. If the business is thriving, don't say, no, I'm gonna go shop for a million things and, that should not be different to your lifestyle. You need to build yourself up gradually and stay within your lane. Uguti, umngani wami next door or what